Hello students. In this module we will be doing the topic Indian Independence Act, as we did in the previous module, all about the conflict between the Congress and the Muslim League, as well as the Lord Mountbatten's entry as the Viceroy of India, and then his plan given by Mountbatten, which was also called as the Mountbatten Plan, and why it was accepted by both the Congress and the League, because Congress had no other option for freedom than to accept for the partition, whereas Muslim League wanted their own separate dominant status, and that was given to them in the form of Pakistan. So as a result, this Lord Mountbatten's plan was accepted by both the organizations, and further it was taken out to be the Indian Independence Act. It was worked upon that ways. So here we see in the explanation, after the Mountbatten Plan was accepted by all the Indian leaders, it was then that the British Prime Minister, he gave another bill, and this was known as the Indian Independence Bill. And this was not given in India, but it was rather discussed in the House of Commons in England. So the bill was passed by both the houses, like we have the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha in India. Similarly, we had in the House of Commons also, we had the upper house and the lower house. So both the houses accepted it, and it was passed on July 1, 1947. Now, what were the main provisions which were given into this particular bill? And we can say later it was made as an act. So what were the provisions given in this act? First of all, the two new dominions. So I will be explaining you in brief, so you can read the chapter properly for detailed explanation. The first thing was two new dominions. It was made out that India will be given independence, but on the basis or on the condition of a partition which was supposed to be making two different countries, and that is India and Pakistan, and that would be done on 15th of August, by 15th of August 1947. The territories of the two dominions were divided in such terms that Pakistan would comprise all of these areas: Sindh, Baluchistan, Northwest Frontier Province, and the western part of Punjab, and Eastern Bengal also. Eastern Bengal is basically the Bangladesh area of modern day, but at that time it was partitioned as the Pakistan region, or the new dominion of Pakistan. So that is how it was divided. But although it was divided, yet a proper boundary was not set up, because that was the work given to the Boundary Commission. Next provision was provisions of partition. Like here, both Bengal and Punjab regions were to be divided by the people and as per the desire of the people, because these were the areas which were supposedly to be given to both India as well as Pakistan. So it was the provincial assemblies of the two parts would meet separately, representing the Hindu majority districts as well as Muslim majority districts, and they would decide through a majority vote whether they wanted to have a division of the province or not. Similar was the case with the other areas also, like for the Northwest Frontier Province, the Sylhet district, or you can say of East Bengal, Punjab regions. All of them, they were given proper you can say power or decision to make for themselves whether they wanted to join Pakistan region or the new Pakistan region, or they want to remain with the Indian provision only, Indian area only. Besides that, another provision that was made in this particular Indian Independence Act was Governor General for each dominion. It was decided one Governor General will not be able to rule the entire country, because obviously there will be two different countries. They would have to make arrangements for work till the framing of the constitution, and therefore it was supposedly a Governor General would be appointed by British King on the advice of cabinet. He will rule only for the time period. Later there will be both the countries having their separate you can say constitution, as well as the people looking after their work. Fourth, we see constituent assemblies to serve as central legislator. So constituent assemblies of both the dominions were supposed to act as the central legislatures. That means they have the full powers to make laws for their particular areas, and that is how they would be acting as the sovereign bodies for all the cases or the issues regarding the laws, rules and regulations. So till the time a proper government, a proper constitution is not made, these constituent assemblies will look into the law and order and everything related to the rules and regulations. Next was the end of jurisdiction of the British Parliament. So legislative authority of the British Parliament will come to the end by 1947, and that was a precise date was given to them, 15th of August. That means when the India would be getting its independence. So by then it will be that the titles of Emperor of India, King of England, these were all supposed to be removed, and a new constitution was framed. Each of the dominions and all the provinces were to be governed in accordance to that particular act of 1935. Besides that, it was also that the Governor General was supposed to have the powers to modify or adopt the Government of India Act as from by 31st March 1948, and the right of the king to veto laws was also given up. Besides that, princely powers were also given some particular freedom, and they were set independent. That means they were free to have their particular authorities over there, and all treaties, agreements with of theirs with the British were removed. They were all, you can say, dissolved, and they were free to choose themselves as independent identities, or they can even join any of the two new dominions like the India as well as the Pakistan region. Next we have the treaties and agreements. This is important, you can go through this. With effect from August 15, 1947, the British government would cease to have any responsibility for the government of India. That means then they will not be dealing with the treaties and agreements on all the issues arising because of that. So it was the British governments, and the rules of the Indian states or any authority in tribal areas would all lapse. Agreements with the tribes of Northwest Frontier Province were to be negotiated by the dominion concerned. That means whether over there is Pakistan or there is India, it will be they deciding with the tribal areas. Then next thing was division of the army. So here it comes to the division of the army and all the other assets also, because they were all made for one nation, that was India, the entire country, along with the Pakistan region areas and all of them. But now after the division, how are these two dominions going to settle this issue of army and all the lines of telegraph, telephone lines, and you can say even the railway tracks, everything, they had to be properly reorganized, the entire structure of the two nations. So it was all supposedly to be divided and decided by the two new dominions of India and Pakistan. Besides that, next is bringing the act into operation. It was the Governor General was vested with necessary powers for bringing Indian independence into effective operation. So it will be the decision of Governor General how to use or how to implement Indian Independence Act, as well as India's independence also. And besides that, office of Secretary of State and interest of existing officers. Regarding this, provisions were made for safeguarding the interests of the existing officers appointed by Secretary of State. The office of the Secretary of State for India was later abolished, and that is before the independence of India itself. Then we see independence by an act of legislation. India, Pakistan, they got their independence just by a piece of paper which was made the act, and that gave the independence to much awaited independence to both the dominions. Here it is. Referring to Indian Independence Act, the Secretary of State remarked at that time, the bill is unique in the history of legislation of this country. Never before has such a large portion of the world population achieved complete independence through legislation. One simple paper and such a huge part of the world has got independence, and that is both India and Pakistan together. The act marked the end of British rule in India. The dominion of India and Pakistan, they came into existence, although Lord Mountbatten was supposed to leave, but on request of Nehru he continued as Governor General of India, and on the other hand Muhammad Ali Jinnah became the Governor General of Pakistan. He was given the area which they were always demanding for. And on August 14, 1947, on the eve of India's independence, that means by the evening, by the night time of 14th August, Jawaharlal Nehru made a very historic speech for the independence, and that was given over here in the red box. You can see it is given. Long years ago we made a tryst with destiny, and now the time comes. That we have been fighting for this for long, and now the time has come when we shall redeem our pledge, not wholly or in full measure, but very substantially. At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom. That means at 12 o'clock midnight, when the world would be sleeping as per normal, the country, this particular part of the world, this country, India, it will be waking up to a new beginning, and that would be the beginning of free India. And this was something which was very, very important speech, and that is included in the history of independence of India. Here we see Lord Mountbatten remained in office as Governor General till June 1948. After that, it was C. Raja Gopalachari, because he was the senior most person in the meeting. So he was given as the particular, you can say, designation of Governor General, and later onwards that too of Constituent Assembly. And then he became that chairperson also. Later onwards, it was given to Dr. Rajendra Prasad, who took over as the first president of the Indian Republic, and the Constituent Assembly became the Parliament of India. And under this, the transitional provisions of the new constitution were made. So here we see that how India got its independence. The last part is dawn of freedom. It is basically the ending, the conclusion. That is, India's unique struggle thus came to an end for the freedom, and set an example for other colonial countries of Asia and Africa also to follow. This was followed by a tragic and bloody partition of country, and after that, as many of us know, even after the partition, a lot of chaos was there in the country, but somehow India, Pakistan, both the regions managed it and came out of it. Though there were there were always skirmishes, and there were, you can say, fights and proper problems between the two nations, but since from then till now, time and again, we have been solving those problems successfully and have been protecting our freedom, and we have used this particular opportunity of self-rule to make India not an underdeveloped or developing countries, but among the fastest growing economies in the world today. So that is the entire story about India's freedom struggle under the British rule till coming to the modern era. And that is what happens during this what happened during this time in the world scenario will be the next chapters. We will be doing about them in the coming up chapters. With this, we come to the end of the chapter, that is chapter number 9, Independence and Partition of India. After this, we will be doing the question answers. So with this, we come to the end of the module.